Hello and welcome back to the Squirrel Here YouTube channel, and welcome to the Premier League preview for match day number 10 in the Premier League for Liverpool. We got back into winning ways in the Premier League against West Brom, got a solid 2-1 victory, and then in the EFL Cup we got a 2-1 victory again against Tottenham. I did do a prediction video for the Tottenham game and it corrupted. I think I might have mentioned that in the last one anyway, but we are in pretty damn good form, and I'm loving where the team is at right now. When I looked at that Tottenham team, sorry, when I looked at the team that we put out against Tottenham, and I'm looking at all those players making 11 wholesale changes, having some players like Daniel Sturridge in there with a lot more experience, but needed game time, hasn't been able to do it, break into that first team in the Premier League, got some very very good goals, got seems to have that instinctive touch about him as well. Then you had the likes of Ijaria coming in, having a very, very good game. Alexander-Arnold getting his praise sung everywhere by the media. It has been very, very positive week overall from the Premier League game that we had against West Brom and the EFL Cup game. I thought it was one of those that we might have a banana skin, and it almost turned into one when we gave away a penalty. Probably should have given away another penalty as well not long afterwards, but at the end of the day, it went in our favour, and I'm pretty happy with where we are right now. On the other hand, Crystal Palace don't have the very best of form right now. They have lost the last two games in the Premier League, lost a last minute one with West Ham, and then they go and lose against Leicester 3-1. And Leicester haven't been very good in the Premier League, but they put it together that week. Look, it's one of those. The only reason I'm worried is I think that the likes of Benteke is going to want to prove a point against Liverpool, and he's won, I think, almost since the start of the Premier League this season. I think he's won the most aerial challenges and also aerial balls, stuff like that. I might be wrong on that one, but it's one that I've heard. And obviously, with our aerial problems sometimes in the box, it does present a couple of concerns, obviously. But I think we'll have enough to deal with this. I really, really do. So moving on, like I normally do, looking at the form there, they've got 3 losses in their last 6, 2 wins and 1 draw. We've got 1 draw and 5 wins, and we've had probably, I think, on the run of play, I think we've had, looking at those 6 games there, they haven't been the most difficult opposition after one of the hardest starts that we've ever had to a season in recent memory. Crystal Palace have come up against some teams that are quite good. They've also come up against some teams that haven't been doing very well, the likes of Stoke at that point and Sunderland, who just have not kicked into gear whatsoever this season. And then they got a good draw against Everton, lost against West Ham, who are looking to kickstart their own season. Leicester, again, they got a good victory over Crystal Palace. But anyway, let's kick into our team selector. So, the team selector that I've got here, I'm basically looking at a baseline of what we normally do in terms of selecting a team. I don't think I've chosen anybody that I wouldn't choose in a normal match day, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through some changes that may happen. I don't see Mignolet coming back in and taking Karius' spot, only because I think Karius is still going to be deserving of time in the Premier League. I think Klopp obviously coming out and saying that Karius is going to be his number 1, Mignolet is going to be his number 2. Whether that could change or not, I'm not sure. Mignolet had a pretty good game in the Cup game, so I mean that could be an interchangeable sort of position if Karius doesn't keep performing. However, going into that defence, I think for a Premier League game, it speaks for itself. Now, as you know, the Sky Sports website doesn't let James Milner be chosen as a defender, but if James Milner is fit, because there's actually a doubt that Milner could be fit, and that's quite worrying as well, it would normally be Milner at left back, Klein at right back, and Lovren and Matip. Obviously, your alternative there is Moreno, who didn't have too bad of a game in the Cup game. People, I think Sky Sports and that were saying that he had a pretty good game, actually. But there's just times that he does things that Milner doesn't, and like actual defensive left back doesn't do. So there's one point right near the end of the game, I think it was like the 89th minute or something like that, and he's halfway up the pitch, and after he's lost the ball, Tottenham are coming back. They've got a player over right in the position where Moreno should have been as a left back, and that could have been very, very, very dangerous. It's those little lapses that I just don't trust in Moreno. But if Milner isn't fit, I can imagine he's going to be the only person that could fit that void. Other than that, Sturridge had a very good game. He obviously got some good goals, but for me, I think the standout in that front line, even though he didn't get a goal, was Divock Origi. His work rate was outstanding. It was absolutely unbelievable. He had some very good chances. Took his long range shot with an it was one of those. The goalkeeper gets to it, but if that goes in, that is an absolute screamer. If that had gone in, He works hard for the team. He's working hard for everybody else. And I'm not saying that Sturridge didn't. Sturridge got two very good goals, but he doesn't work in the same way that Origi does. It was like endless sort of energy with Origi. The problem with Origi is that he's going to be trying to displace someone in Roberto Firmino who works he's such a hard worker up front. For someone who didn't come to the club as a striker, he just works so damn hard in that like false nine or whatever. And the interplay that you get between Coutinho, Mane, and Firmino is unreal. Couple that together with Lallana, Wijnaldum probably coming back into the first team, and Henderson with his work rate in the midfield as well. I don't see why we would change any of that because it would be so much more consistent. It's a team that's been together for the first 9 games of the season, pretty much. After the second or third game, after the Burnley game, we pretty much settled with a team that has been playing week in, week out, despite injuries or in spite of injuries. We've maybe had to chop and change. Maybe Emre Can had to come in for Wijnaldum at some point, and when Lallana got injured as well. Just a couple of changes here and there, but when they are fit, there's no reason for me why we shouldn't be playing them. And that, for me, the team that I've selected here is the team that I would go for. But obviously, if Milner's not fit, I imagine that Moreno would come in there, or Klopp might have some other sort of plan in place, because you never know. Milner was a midfielder before this season, and now he's a great left-back. So who am I to say what Jurgen Klopp is going to do? Now, going back to the form here, how do I think that we're going to do? I think it's going to be a dangerous game. I think it's one that it could end up like the West Brom game, because I think Palace will have, they've got a very good threat in Christian Benteke. I've said it all along, right through the transfer window in the summer, that he would be, if he left and he goes somewhere like Crystal Palace, who Crystal Palace have been one of those teams that we haven't notoriously done very well against whenever we come up against them, whether it's in the cup or whatever. Having Christian Benteke and then the attacking force that they've got around him with like the likes of Zaha and Townsend, who's actually doing quite well, they will cause problems. We will cause probably more problems for Crystal Palace though, because if we play anything like we play against West Brom, like we played against Swansea when we were getting our asses kicked in the first half, and then we turned it on the second half, like we played against Hull, like we played against teams, so on and so forth. If we play anything like that, we have the potential to tear through that Palace team like we have with every other team, aside from Man United and aside from that first half at Swansea, and of course the Burnley game. I'm never forgetting that game. However, I'm just going to be very, very wary of the aerial threat of Palace. I don't think that we're going to get the clean sheet here. Obviously, I missed the fact that we got a clean sheet against Man United in what was a pretty dire game until the second half, when we just couldn't score. But I'm going to go for... I'm going to go for a 3-1 victory for Liverpool. I do think that Crystal Palace will get a goal. Unfortunately, I do think it will be Christian Benteke, but I think that we will get our goals first. And if we get our goals first, their goal will be a bit more like a consolation, and they won't get their tails up, and they won't make it difficult for us defensively. If they score first, we will just work that much harder, I believe. I think Mane, the creativity of that front line, and Lallana, everybody in there, and I think that work rate of Wijnaldum and Henderson, the defence, for me, picks itself as long as Milner is fit, and the goalkeeper as well. I just think we're being so much more consistent than we have been in recent years, having such a set starting 11 that everybody can pretty much predict 8 or 9 out of the starting 11 is unreal, and it's something that we've not had for so long, which is why my team selection, I can pretty much save that tab and have it for every single game as long as everyone's fit. So I'm going for a 3-1 victory for Liverpool. We're away from home, so it might not be as comfortable as it is at Anfield, but never say never. I think it could be a great game. I think it could be a good one for us. If we can make it 11 games unbeaten in total in all competitions, that would be absolutely unreal. So, let me know what your thoughts are on the game in the comments below. What are your thoughts? Who do you think is going to win? Who do you think is going to be star player? In my opinion, I think star player will go to Philippe Coutinho. I think Coutinho has been one of those players lately who is just threading the needle for everything. He's important to every single piece of play, and I just think he's going to be the one that is going to be the most important player on the pitch. All of our players are very important, but I think he's going to be living up to that billing that we give him, calling him the little magician, and I think he's going to be the star player. But let me know what you think in the comments below, whether you're a Palace fan or a Liverpool fan or a neutral. Let me know what you think in the comments below. If you've enjoyed the video, please drop a like on the video. Subscribe if you're new around here. Thank you ever so much for watching, and I will catch you later.